The locket was rusted and ordinary, until the world around me vanished. It all began on a Saturday morning at the flea market, one of those open-air ones where you could find everything from old furniture to coins that had passed through more hands than you could ever count. The air was thick with the smell of roasted peanuts, grilled corn, and the faint dust of the dry ground underfoot. People called out prices, children tugged at their parents, and music from a nearby radio drifted in and out as if the whole market itself were alive. I had no real plan for being there. I just liked wandering. There was something comforting about running my fingers across forgotten objects, little pieces of history that someone else had let go of. I liked to imagine the lives behind each item. Who owned it, what it meant, why it ended up here, surrounded by noise and strangers. That was when I saw it. The locket sat in a cracked wooden box, tucked between a bent silver spoon and a broken pocket watch. The chain was tangled, the metal dark with rust. Most people would have skipped over it without a second glance. But I've always had a weakness for broken things. Something in me believed that anything still holding together after so long deserved to be noticed. "How much?" I asked the man behind the stall. He was old, his skin weathered like leather, and a half-smoked cigar clung to his lips. He narrowed his eyes at me, then at the locket, like he couldn't believe I had picked it up. $2, he said. His voice was raspy. "But take care, it doesn't belong to everyone." I almost laughed. Flea market sellers loved to make their goods sound more mysterious than they really were. Still, the way he said it gave me a little chill. I handed him the coins, dropped the locket into my palm, and closed my fingers around it. It was cold, too cold for the warm morning. I rubbed at the rust, curious, until the tiny hinge clicked open. Inside, instead of a picture or hairlock, things I expected from a locket, there was a tiny piece of parchment. The paper looked impossibly old, its edges browned, the center filled with symbols I didn't recognize. The writing almost seemed alive, curling and shifting like smoke. I blinked, thinking it was just my imagination. But when I looked again, the whole market was gone. The voices faded. The smells vanished. The ground itself dropped out from under me, replaced by white light so bright it burned my eyes. I clutched the locket tighter, my heart pounding. And then, just as suddenly, I wasn't in the flea market anymore. I stood in a vast courtyard, its floor made of stone polished smooth from centuries of footsteps. Tall marble columns surrounded me, carved with strange figures, warriors, animals, gods with outstretched hands. The air smelled of frankincense and roasted meat carried by the wind. All around, people moved in flowing robes and sandals, their hair braided or covered with linen cloths. They spoke a language I couldn't understand, but somehow my ears caught the rhythm of it, as though my memory had been trained long ago. I was frozen in place. How could I explain what just happened? I looked at my hands, then at the locket, hoping the old stall and the vendor would reappear. Instead, I heard a voice. "Madam K." It whispered. I turned sharply. A girl stood behind me, maybe 15 years old. Her dark hair was braided and decorated with beads, her dress stitched with threads of gold. Her eyes, wide and certain, looked at me not as if I were lost, but as if I had just returned home. "You've come back," she said. My lips parted, but no sound came out. She reached out and took my hand gently. "They've been waiting for you." And before I could argue, before I could say she had the wrong person, she pulled me into the heartbeat of that ancient city, a place both beautiful and terrifying, where my name already seemed to carry a weight I didn't understand. The girl who held my hand didn't let go. She moved quickly, weaving through the crowded courtyard as though she knew I would follow. My mind was spinning, but my feet obeyed. "Wait," I said. My voice cracked, the word trembling on my lips. "Where am I? Who are you?" The girl glanced back at me with a soft smile. "I am Leora," she said carefully, as if choosing words I would understand. "And you?" "You are Madam K." I stopped walking. The name fell heavy on my ears, both strange and familiar. "No, you've made a mistake. My name is Kate." But she only shook her head. "The flame never makes mistakes. You carry the locket. You have returned." Her certainty frightened me more than the unknown city. I looked around. Tall buildings of stone and plaster rose on every side. Narrow streets branched out like veins, filled with vendors shouting prices, children running barefoot, and women balancing clay jars on their heads. Everywhere I turned, there were eyes, curious, watchful. I didn't belong, and yet, people nodded slightly when they saw me like they knew me. Returned, I repeated. My throat was dry. What do you mean? Leora slowed, her young face serious. The last guardian disappeared many years ago. She wore that locket. She carried the bond of the eternal flame. Some said she would come back when we needed her most. Her eyes sparkled. And now, here you are. The words pressed down on me like a stone. Guardian. Eternal flame. It sounded like the script of a play, and I had stumbled onto the stage with no lines prepared. I'm not a guardian, I whispered. I was at a flea market. I was. Before I could finish, the sound of horns cut through the air. Deep, commanding. People stopped in their tracks. Leora straightened, tugging at my sleeve. They're calling us, she said. The circle of masks must see you. The name alone gave me chills. I didn't want to meet anyone in power. I wanted to find a way home. But the crowd had already begun to flow toward a wide staircase at the edge of the square, as if the city itself had been summoned. Leora pulled me along, her small hand surprisingly strong. My heart pounded harder with each step. At the top of the stairs, bronze doors stood taller than any house I had ever seen. Guards in breastplates and helmets opened them as if expecting me. Inside, the space swallowed me whole. It was a hall unlike anything I could imagine. The ceiling rose high and curved, painted with scenes of fire and water, gods with wings stretched wide, and mortals kneeling in devotion. Oil lamps hung from iron chains, their flames flickering, casting shadows that seemed alive. At the center of the hall sat a circular table. Around it were figures dressed in fine robes, each wearing a mask: gold, silver, ivory, bronze. Some masks were shaped like animals: hawks, lions, wolves. Others were simple, expressionless, with hollow eyes that made me shiver. They all turned toward me. One figure stood. His mask was carved into the shape of a hawk's head, polished to a dark shine. He raised his arm, and the room fell silent. "Madam K," he said in a voice deep and smooth, "the locket has brought you back to us. The city of Aruna greets its guardian." Every pair of masked eyes stayed fixed on me. My knees wobbled. I don't think you understand," I stammered. "I don't belong here. I didn't choose this." Leora squeezed my hand, whispering fiercely, "Do not refuse them now. Please, listen first." The hawk mask tilted his head. "Your soul knows this place, even if your lips deny it. Tomorrow you will stand before the flame and choose your path. Tonight you will dine with us." Masks dipped in agreement. The guards struck their spears on the floor, the sound echoing like thunder. I felt the locket burning against my chest, the parchment inside pressing like a heartbeat. My protests died in my throat. For the first time since I had stepped into this strange world, I understood something terrible. The locket wasn't letting me go. The hall grew warmer as servants entered, carrying trays piled high with food. Roasted lamb, golden bread, and bowls of figs and olives filled the air with rich smells. Goblets of dark wine were placed before each masked figure. I was guided to a seat near the center of the circle. My heart raced. Everyone's eyes, or masks, seemed to follow me. I felt like a moth trapped under glass. Leora stayed close, her hand steady on my arm. "Eat," she whispered softly. "If you refuse, they will see it as an insult." I picked up a piece of bread, tore it, and forced myself to chew. The taste was warm, soft, almost sweet, though my throat was tight with fear. Music began. Drums and flutes, the rhythm sharp, alive. Dancers in long flowing garments spun into the center of the hall. Their faces were painted with bright colors, their movements quick and fierce, like fire burning in the air. The crowd clapped in time, their masks glinting in the lamplight. The hawk-masked leader lifted his goblet. "To Madam K, guardian of the flame," he announced. His voice filled the hall. "You have returned to us in our hour of need." The others raised their cups. Wine spilt like blood onto the stone floor. My own goblet trembled in my hand. "I am not who you think I am," I whispered under my breath. But when I touched the locket, something strange happened. My vision blurred. For a moment, I wasn't in my body at all. I saw a woman standing tall in this same hall. Her hair was bound with gold, her eyes bright and fierce. She wore the same locket, but she carried herself like someone born to lead. I felt her confidence as if it were my own, her voice echoing in my ears. "The flame cannot die," I gasped, spilling wine across my lap. The lion-masked woman leaned close. Her mask was golden, her robe bright with orange thread. Her voice was smooth, almost mocking. "The locket shows her," she said. "She is tied to the one who came before." The hawk mask nodded slowly. "Tomorrow, she must stand before the eternal flame. Only then will her place be revealed." Leora's eyes shone with hope. "You see her, don't you?" she whispered. "The last guardian." I pressed a hand to my chest. The memory, vision, whatever it was, still burned in my mind. "I don't know what I saw," I said honestly. The lion mask tilted her head. "You will." The music grew louder. Dancers leapt high, their shadows huge on the walls. The smell of incense filled the air. Yet beneath all the celebration, I felt something hidden. The way the masked figures whispered among themselves, their words sharp and secret. The way the hawk mask's eyes, black and cold, never left me. It wasn't just a feast, it was a test, and I didn't know the rules. Hours passed before the banquet slowed. One by one, the masked council rose and left, their robes sweeping like waves behind them. Servants cleared the table. The music faded. The hawk mask approached me last. He towered above me, silent for a long moment. Then he said, "Rest now. Tomorrow the flame will judge you. If you are the guardian, you will remain. If not," he paused, his voice like stone, "then the locket will decide what becomes of you." He turned and left before I could ask what that meant. Leora guided me to a smaller chamber, a quiet room with a simple bed and an oil lamp flickering in the corner. I sank onto the bed, my head spinning. "I want to go home," I whispered. She touched my arm gently. "If you are truly her, home may no longer be where you think it is." When she left, I sat alone, clutching the locket until my palm ached. I wanted to believe I could still wake up in my apartment, hear the hum of traffic outside, taste the coffee I left half-finished on my kitchen counter. But deep down I knew. The locket wasn't just showing me someone else's life. It was pulling me into it. The next morning, I woke to the sound of bells. Deep, low tones echoed through the stone corridors, carrying a strange weight. I sat up, clutching the locket against my chest. Its surface pulsed faintly, almost like a heartbeat. Leora entered, her robe lighter now, a simple shade of blue. Her smile was nervous but gentle. "It is time," she said. I wanted to say time for what? But I already knew. The hawk mask's warning from the banquet clung to my memory. "The flame will judge you." As I followed her through the halls, my stomach twisted. Every turn seemed to lead deeper underground. Torches lit the way, their smoke curling into the stale air. The walls were carved with symbols, circles, flames, eyes that seemed to follow me. Finally, we entered a great cavern. The ceiling rose so high I could barely see it. At its center stood a stone platform surrounded by fire pits. And at the heart of the platform, a column of flame rose upward, burning bright and steady, yet casting no smoke. The eternal flame. Dozens of masked figures gathered around the cavern. Their robes glimmered in the firelight. The hawk mask stood closest to the flame, his presence heavy, commanding. The lion mask watched from beside him, her golden face unreadable. When they saw me, a murmur swept through the crowd. Words I didn't understand, but tones sharp enough to make my skin prickle. Leora placed a hand on my back, urging me forward. My legs felt heavy, like each step dragged me deeper into quicksand. "Stand in the light," the hawk mask ordered. His voice echoed, unshakable. I obeyed. The heat of the flame was strange. Not burning, not painful. It wrapped around me like sunlight, seeping into my skin. My locket grew hot, glowing brighter and brighter until it burned against my chest. "Remove the mask of doubt," the hawk said. "Show the flame your truth." I don't understand," I whispered. The lion mask spoke now, her tone smoother. "If you are the guardian reborn, the flame will answer. If not," she tilted her head, "the locket will send you where you belong." My throat went dry. I didn't want to know what "where you belong" meant. Closing my eyes, I gripped the locket tightly. The heat surged through me, making my head spin. Images flashed. Memories not my own. A woman standing here long ago. Her hand raised as the flame bent toward her like a loyal servant. Crowds chanting her name. "Guardian, guardian." Her voice steady. "The flame protects the people, not the council." Gasp, stumbling back. But the flame leapt toward me, wrapping me in its light. It wasn't fire as I knew it. It was alive, curious, searching. Suddenly, I heard a whisper in my mind. Not from the hawk, not from the lion, but from the flame itself. "Who are you?" I'm Kate," I whispered, trembling. "Madam K. I don't belong here. I just found this locket." The flame pulsed. "And yet you carry her within you." Before I could reply, the vision shifted again. I saw a city in ruins, flames consuming the sky. The locket shone bright against the chest of the woman who had come before me. She was fighting. Not soldiers but shadows, great winged creatures with glowing eyes. Her voice rang out. "The guardian must always return." The vision ended. The flame shrank back into its column, steady once more. The cavern was silent. The hawk mask spoke at last. "She carries the mark. The flame has touched her." A ripple of voices followed. Some hopeful, some doubtful, some fearful. "She is untrained," the lion mask argued. "She will falter as the last guardian did." "She is chosen," Leora said suddenly, her voice clear. Everyone turned to her, surprised. Her small frame shook, but her words were strong. "The flame has spoken. That cannot be denied." The hawk mask studied me for a long time. Finally he nodded. "So be it. The guardian must prepare. The shadows are rising again." My chest tightened. Shadows. Rising again. And I was supposed to stop them. When the council dismissed, Leora led me back through the corridors. My legs wobbled, my heart pounding. "I'm not ready for this," I told her. "I don't even know how to be this guardian." She looked at me with something between pity and awe. None of them were ready. Not at first. But the flame never chooses by mistake. That night, lying awake in the chamber, I stared at the glowing locket in my hand. I wanted my normal life back. The cluttered flea market, my quiet apartment, the hum of the world I understood. But every time I closed my eyes, I saw the ruined city. The shadows. The woman who looked so much like me. Maybe Leora was right. Maybe the flame never chose by mistake. The next morning, the air in the halls was different. Leora woke me before the bells, her expression calm but firm. "Today you begin," she said. I rubbed my eyes. "Begin what?" "Pretending I'm this guardian." Her lips twitched, almost a smile. "Not pretending. Becoming." She led me through long passages until we came to a courtyard open to the sky. The sun spilt golden light across tall stone pillars. Around the courtyard were weapons, staffs, spears, shields, but also strange objects I didn't recognize. Bowls filled with glowing sand, stones carved with spirals, jars of shimmering liquid. 3 masked figures waited. One wore a wolf mask, his arms strong and scarred. Another wore an owl mask, her robe lined with blue thread. The third had no mask at all, just an old man with white hair and sharp, steady eyes. "This is the guardian," the wolf mask asked doubtfully. "She is the chosen," Leora said. The old man studied me in silence. His eyes were so piercing I almost looked away. Finally he spoke. "The flame does not choose lightly, but choice is not enough. She must endure." "Endure what?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He raised a hand. "The shadows are rising. You saw them, did you not?" I swallowed. Images of the winged creatures flashed in my mind. Glowing eyes, vast wings, darkness spreading. "Yes," I whispered. "Then you know what is at stake." The wolf mask handed me a staff. It was heavy, rough in my hands. He barked, "Show us your strength." I've never fought with one of these," I said. "Then today you learn." He swung his own staff with ease, striking mine so hard it nearly flew from my grip. My palms stung. My arms shook. Again he struck, and again I stumbled. My chest burned with effort. "Hold your ground," he commanded. "I can't." "Yes, you can." His voice was fierce but not cruel. "A guardian does not step back." Something inside me hardened. I gripped the staff tighter, planted my feet, and braced myself. When he struck again, I pushed back. The crack echoed through the courtyard. For the first time, I didn't fall. The wolf mask paused. Then he nodded once. "Better." The owl mask stepped forward. In her hands, she held a bowl of glowing sand. "Strength is nothing without focus," she said. "Close your eyes." I obeyed. She whispered in a language I didn't know. The sand began to glow brighter. I felt its heat against my skin, though she hadn't touched me. "Breathe," she said. "Follow the flame inside you. It burns here," she touched her own chest. "Not just in the locket." I inhaled slowly. At first, I felt only nerves, only the ache in my arms. But then, something else. Spark deep in my chest. Small but steady. The sand in the bowl flared. Even with my eyes closed, I saw the light. The owl mask's voice softened. "Good. You are listening." When I opened my eyes, she was smiling beneath the mask. The old man came last. He did not carry a weapon or sand. He simply looked at me. "What are you most afraid of?" he asked. The question struck me harder than any staff. "Losing myself," I admitted. "Losing my home. Never getting back." He nodded slowly. "Fear is a flame too. Can consume you or it can light your path. You must choose which." The rest of the day blurred into drills and lessons. The wolf mask pushed me until my muscles screamed. The owl mask taught me to breathe with the rhythm of the flame. The old man asked questions that shook me to my core. By sunset, I was drenched in sweat, every bone aching. Yet the locket glowed brighter against my skin, as if proud of me. Leora brought me water, her smile warm. "You did well." "I barely survived," I muttered. "And yet," she said, "you are still standing." That night, I lay on the stone bed, staring at the ceiling. My body hurt, but my heart felt different, like the spark inside me had grown a little stronger. Still, the visions haunted me. The shadows, their wings blotting out the sky. And the ruined city. The old man's words returned to me. Fear is a flame too. If that was true, then my fear could either destroy me, or drive me forward. I didn't know yet which one it would be. The days after my first training blurred together. Each morning began with a clang of staffs in the courtyard, the burn of muscles I didn't know I had. The wolf mask shouted until my arms stopped shaking. The owl mask made me breathe until my thoughts grew calm. The old man reminded me of truths I didn't want to face. Still, with every sunrise, I felt the spark inside me grow brighter. The locket no longer just glowed. It pulsed, alive, as if matching my heartbeat. But then the shadows came. It was near dusk when the bells rang. Not the steady tones I'd grown used to, but a frantic, crashing sound that shook the walls. I ran with Leora through the corridors until we spilt out into the courtyard. Above us, the sky burned red. Dark shapes moved against the fading light. Huge wings, wide as rooftops. Their eyes glowed like embers, and when they opened their mouths, the sound was not a roar but a scream, sharp and cold, that cut straight into my bones. "The shadows," Leora whispered, her face pale. "They've returned." The wolf mask shouted orders, rallying soldiers with shields and spears. The owl mask lifted her hands, chanting, her bowl of sand glowing bright enough to blind. And me froze. The creatures swooped lower, their wings sending gusts of wind that nearly knocked me over. I wanted to run, to hide, to pretend I was anywhere but here. But the locket burned hot against my chest, dragging me forward. "Madam K," the hawk mask's voice thundered. He appeared through the chaos, his robes whipping in the wind. "The flame chose you. Now prove it." I gripped the staff in my hands, my knuckles white. My body trembled. But something inside me whispered, "Don't step back." One of the creatures dove straight toward me. Its wings blotted out the last of the sun. My legs screamed to run, but instead I planted my feet. Just as the wolf mask had taught me, I raised the staff and swung. The wood cracked against the creature's face. It shrieked, stumbling midair. Sparks burst from the locket, racing down my arms and into the staff. Suddenly, the plain wood glowed with fire. I gasped, but the creature roared and lunged again. This time, when I struck, the flame leapt from my staff, wrapping around its body. The shadow shrieked, twisting before bursting into smoke. The courtyard fell silent for one breath. Then chaos erupted again. "They can be burned," the owl mask shouted, her voice sharp with hope. She lifted her glowing sand high, and streams of fire shot upward, striking another creature out of the sky. The wolf mask fought like a storm, his staff breaking bones, his roars matching the monsters. Soldiers rallied, their courage rising. And me, I was no soldier, no warrior, just Madam K. But the fire in my chest, the fire in the locket, it guided me. Every strike, every breath, every step burned with it. One by one the shadows fell. The air grew thick with smoke and the stench of ash. My arms ached, my lungs burned, but I did not stop. At last, the final creature let out a terrible scream and fled into the dark horizon. Silence spread over the courtyard. Bodies lay across the stone, soldiers fallen in battle. But the council stood. Leora stood. Nay, I was still standing too. The hawk mask approached, his face unreadable. Then slowly he bowed his head. "Guardian," he said, his voice carrying through the courtyard. The flame was right. The lion mask stepped forward, her golden eyes on me. "She has the fire, but fire alone will not win the war. More will come." Her words chilled me. Yet the locket glowed warmly, reminding me of the vision. The ruined city, the shadows blotting out the sun. That future had not yet happened. Maybe it didn't have to. That night, I sat with Leora beneath the stars. My body ached, but I could not sleep. "Why me?" I asked softly. "I didn't ask for this." Leora tilted her head, her dark eyes kind. "The flame does not ask who is ready. It asks who is needed." I looked at the locket, its light steady and calm. Maybe she was right. Maybe I was needed. And for the first time since the flea market, since the moment the world shifted, I didn't want to let go. The locket was rusted and ordinary, until it pulled Madam K into a destiny she never imagined. From a flea market trinket to battling shadows under a burning sky. Her story is only just beginning. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Tales by Savvy Sam. More worlds, more mysteries, and more adventures await you.